She walked into the room, confident, poised, unaware that every eye was watching, not with admiration, but with mockery. A group of billionaires laughed behind champagne glasses, thinking their wealth gave them power over her. In a moment, humiliation and prejudice collided, and what they didn't realize was that she held the keys to their empire. One decision, one quiet move could turn the tables completely. Would they ever see it coming? This is the story of a moment that exposed arrogance, injustice, and the price of underestimating someone, and the revenge no one expected. It was a warm Saturday evening, and she was attending a high-profile charity party, one she'd been invited to for her impressive track record in business. She had built her career from the ground up, every deal, every connection earned through talent and persistence. Dressed elegantly but modestly, she moved through the crowd with quiet confidence, exchanging polite nods and smiles. The room sparkled with wealth and influence. Yet beneath the glitter, subtle glances and whispered comments reminded her that not everyone saw her as an equal. Tonight, she would face the sharp edge of arrogance and prejudice, and it would test more than her composure. It would challenge the power dynamics she had learned to navigate. The party was in full swing, sparkling lights reflecting off crystal chandeliers, laughter filling the air. But not all laughter was innocent. She moved through the crowd, exchanging polite greetings, when she felt it. The subtle sneers, the sideways glances, the muffled chuckles aimed in her direction. It started with small jabs, mocking her accent, questioning her ideas, dismissing her accomplishments. She smiled politely, nodding, masking the sting. But the subtle attacks grew bolder. A white billionaire family at the center of the room whispered jokes meant to belittle her, their voices sharp and cruel, echoing with entitlement. She could feel the room's energy shift, the invisible walls of wealth and prejudice closing around her. She tried to ignore it, focusing on her purpose, but then it happened. A careless comment, disguised as humor, slipped past their lips. The room froze for a split second, sensing the tension, and she felt the weight of every eye on her. The laughter was no longer friendly. It was a test, a reminder of how easily power could overshadow merit. Her pulse quickened. This wasn't just insult, it was an assault on her dignity. Every conversation afterward carried the same undertone. Investors she had worked tirelessly to impress glanced at her as if she were out of place. Deals she had spent months nurturing suddenly seemed fragile, teetering under the weight of prejudice. Every polite smile she returned became armor, every nod a shield. But inside, anger and disbelief churned. How could success, talent, and hard work still be dismissed so easily? Then the pivotal moment. She overheard the family plotting, their voices low but venomous. Let's see if she really belongs here. Maybe she'll slip up, then we can pull the rug from under her. Her jaw tightened. The humiliation they sought would not be her downfall. They had underestimated her completely. A spark of resolve ignited. She wouldn't let their arrogance define her story. Every ounce of preparation, every sleepless night she had poured into her work would fuel what came next. The stakes were colossal, not just her reputation, but the billion-dollar deal that could either cement her success or be crushed by their prejudice. As she excused herself from the crowded room, a plan formed in her mind, quiet, precise, and unstoppable. The power balance was about to shift, and when it did, no one in that glittering room would see it coming. She walked back into the room, calm on the surface, but inside, every nerve was electric. The billionaire family, still basking in their arrogance, believed the night was theirs. Glasses clinked, laughter resumed, but she had all the power now, quietly in her hands. With a composed smile, she called their top advisor over, presenting a simple, undeniable truth. The deal they had depended on, The billion-dollar empire they took for granted could be revoked with a single signature. Shock rippled through the room. Faces paled, eyes widened. The laughter died, replaced by tense murmurs. They had mocked her, belittled her, dismissed her accomplishments, but they had underestimated the consequences of their own hubris. She didn't raise her voice, didn't beg for recognition. Every word, every gesture radiated certainty. The room was silent except for the subtle hum of disbelief. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The same people who thought wealth gave them untouchable power now realized how fragile their empire truly was. The tension was electric, almost unbearable. She had endured insult after insult, yet now she held the key to their fortune and reputation. One decision, one signature, and everything could crumble. The family's smirks vanished. The atmosphere shifted from arrogance to fear. Eyes darted, whispers spread. This was the moment she had prepared for, the turning point where justice, calm, deliberate, unstoppable, met entitlement head-on. And as she pressed the pen to paper, sealing the fate of the deal, the room collectively understood their power had never been absolute. No one would forget this night. Not the humiliation they tried to inflict, not the control they assumed they had, and certainly not the quiet force that overturned it all. She had turned the tables, and in doing so, revealed a truth they could no longer ignore. The room slowly exhaled, tension dissolving into stunned silence. She had canceled the billion-dollar deal, not with anger, but with undeniable clarity and conviction. The billionaire family, once untouchable in their arrogance, could only watch as the consequences of their prejudice unfolded before them. It was more than a financial loss. It was a lesson in respect, dignity, and the cost of underestimating someone because of their race. For her, the victory was quiet but profound. It wasn't just about the deal. It was about reclaiming space in a world that often tried to marginalize her. She had turned humiliation into power, and injustice into undeniable proof that talent, perseverance, and integrity could never be ignored. Every whispered insult, every mocking glance had only strengthened her resolve. And as the room emptied and whispers of disbelief lingered, one question hung in the air. How many opportunities, how many deals, how many moments of injustice go unnoticed every day? How often do we underestimate the quiet strength of those we dismiss? Her story is a testament. Respect cannot be bought, power cannot be assumed, and prejudice always carries a price. What will you do when faced with injustice? Will you stand silent, or will you act with the courage to change the course of a story that matters?